What's up, guys? I've seen some people recently interested in making these flared ports that I made a while ago. I made two of these. I made a square like this, and then I made an octo. I made one of each like 7 years ago, and I never did it again. I made like a super scuffed like video um, of me doing it, but I don't even know if it's still up. I don't even know where it'd be at. But this is gonna be like a really rough tutorial. Um, this is not what I do, so just bear with me. So we're gonna start over here, and for this example, we're gonna have a 10-inch wide by 10-inch wide or high square port internal. And so I like to do 3/8 or 3 inches as my minimum radius for kerfs. That's just what I find to be a comfy minimum without like worrying about kerfs breaking or stuff like that. You can go lower than that if you know what you're doing and have the right wood for it. And then we want to have a 1 inch mounting flange at minimum, um, and then add an 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch or whatever to account for to give you some wiggle room for this back flare to slide into the box. Let's see. And then to get the total length of your board that you need to cut, it's going to be, this one's going to be 21 inches in a 30-second. You can find calculators online how to find the length of a radius like this. I'm terrible at math. Just Google it. SketchUp has spoiled me, and I can just click these lines and I can add them up like this. Use SketchUp is what I say. 4 1/8 is going to be the overall height of the front flare, 3 inches in the back. All right, next one. Let's get this window out of here. Now we have 4 sets, 4 or 4 sides of these measurements. So we have 4 1/8 for the left flare, and then the right flare, or not flare, the sides of the taper. And then our 10-inch internal measurement for the port. And so each one of these ends up being, let's see, yeah, 18 1/4. So you would multiply 18 1/4 by 4, you get 73 right here. But I would honestly add a few inches of breathing room to this to allow for like cut widths and stuff like that. And I guess you can do this in a straight cut. So I would do, to make this easier on you, I would do a straight cut all the way across once this is all cured and everything. Max blade depth, and then come back on this side. I would flip it, and I would finish the cut depth with the saw going this way. So first you'd go this way with the saw, and then you go this way. And then for this back flare, if it's 3 inches, it should go all the way through. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember. And then you'll get your 4 pieces out of that. And then you would mark your lines, these 2 lines here, for your internal port width and height. And then you would set your saw angle to 45 degrees, blade depth max, and then run it through both sides. And it's not going to go all the way through the front flare. Don't remember if at an angle, if it does go through the back all the way, it might. But once you get those two 45-degree angles cut, set your blade depth back to 0 degrees. And then you go from this corner, and then you meet the end of your first cut right here. And you just cut this way with your saw. Same over here. And then same on the back side. And I forgot to mention earlier, but you bend this all as one piece, one kerf, one massive board. You bend it, you glue it up, you let it cure overnight. You can use ratchet straps all the way around and like tighten it just enough to get, make sure that they're 90 degree square on both ends. Or you can make like a jig or some rectangle thing for it to like sit inside of and like sit snug in so it holds its shape overnight. Whatever you want, but if you use ratchet straps, just use enough so you don't get scalloping in the edge. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's if you want to use an octo. Again, terrible with math. Might sound weird coming from me, the enclosure designer, but I am horrible with math. So this is 22.5 degrees out, and this is what the measurement ends up being. The process is the exact same if you want to do an octo. The only thing that changes is this outer measurement here and the angle of your cuts, which ends up being 22.5, not 45. And then once you have your 4, you can, like, what I did was I had like a flat panel that was on the ground, and then I like took these and I put them vertical, and I screwed in from the back into this mounting flange into that flat board on the ground. And what that did was that it made sure that whenever I ratchet strapped around the edges of the flares to like suck all the sides in together, that I didn't have like a high-low happening in between my corners. So like it made sure all the corners were flush, like the faces were flush with each other. And that worked really well. But you want to ratchet strap first around each flare before you screw it into the board. That's just what I did. If you figure out a better way without screwing into it to make sure all these corners are flush with each other, then go for it. If you're not really good with cutting, angles like this, you can, if you got like, gaps and stuff, just use PL, Loctite PL. Use a lot of it. It'll fill it all in, and it matches birch wood color pretty well. Otherwise, just use regular Titebond. And then you can see that, let's see, this ends up being 16 inches. And so we make this 16.25, which gives us an 1/8 on each end, all the way around. There's our clearance for the rear flare. And it slides in. Just like that. It's really not hard. When I did it, it was just sketchy more than anything. Like, just cutting these angles was sketchy. But yeah, it's 2 2 cuts. It's 2 different cuts per side. That's the hardest part. 145 angled, and then 1 not angled from corner to the end of the first cut, and then you're good. Same exact thing for octos. Just make sure you get your math right on this outer dimension. Make it 22.5 degrees. That's it. Later.